Welcome along to the Fight Night Daily podcast for you on talkSPORT, and where better to come live and exclusive from Wembley Stadium, the National Stadium. Spencer Oliver, there's something about fights at Wembley. We remember way back with Froch and Groves, 11 years ago, and AJ and Klitschko, Fury, dismantling Dillian White in front of 94,000. Daniel Dubois, of course, 95. And they're trying to make it each year. They're trying to get more and more. Now we have Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois, two, of course, after that fight in Poland with the controversial low blow. Was it legal or not? We've just seen the press conference, and it was dominated by that. A lot of photos being thrown around. George Fox involved. He's been pretty outspoken. Don Charles pretty heavy as well on what he said about Usyk really being a cheat and a liar, and that was very strong. And Usyk sort of walking out and getting annoyed with it all. Lots happening, Spencer, in the last 24 hours. You've been around it every second of the way in the talkSPORT studios and here. What do you make of it all?
This is where the mind games begin. You know, this is what it is, the theatrics of what go on, you know, in behind the scenes, in the build-up to these big fights. You look at that and you go, what do you read into it? Listen, was it a low blow? Wasn't it a low blow? We're all going to have opinions on whether it was, whether it wasn't. I was at ringside. I thought it was a low blow. I know where the waistband lies. The referee...
Did you think that live there, and then looking back on tape, what?
Exactly the same.
Exactly
looking back
the
on
same.
tape, I felt
You
exactly
felt
the
it was
same.
low?
Absolutely. I'm a former fighter. I know where they wear those waistbands. I know that Usyk wears them up high anyway, and I know where the shot landed, and it was in the abdominal area. It wasn't down below. But it was down to the referee. It's the referee's decision, and the referee decided it wasn't a low blow and allowed Oleksandr Usyk to take his 5-minute breather before the fight continued. It's done. That is the point, right? So whether it was, whether it wasn't, you know, Dubois' team are going to think they've got their own feelings about it. Usyk's got their own feelings about it. But most importantly, July the 19th, we get to go over it all over again, and we will find out if Daniel Dubois can right the wrongs of that last contest in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes, it was controversial, but Dubois lost the fight. Usyk won, and then he went on, and as we know, he became undisputed. He beat Tyson Fury again. Now he wants to become undisputed for the third time. You see the shots with him putting the three up. That's cruiserweight, that's heavyweight, and that's heavyweight again. Yes, a lot of talk, and of course that sells the fight. But for me, Spencer, what sells the fight is it's the best fighting the best. It's the IBF heavyweight champion, Daniel Dubois, who crushed AJ here. He was a big underdog that night, and it was an amazing performance. He's in the form of his life. He's 27, and he's got the chance and the opportunity again against the best fighter in world boxing in Oleksandr Usyk. So that's what we should be celebrating. It's undisputed, first time ever on British soil in the National Stadium, and it's the best against the best.
Absolutely. Look at the run of both of these guys. You know, since that loss to Oleksandr Usyk for Daniel Dubois over 2 years ago now, or August 2 years ago, you look at that now and see how he's developed as a fighter, beating Baby Miller, and then he went on to beat Filip Hrgovic, then he went on to beat AJ at Wembley Stadium. You go, the kid is coming to his own. He's developed into a man. More importantly, he believes in himself now. He's a different fighter, and I think Oleksandr Usyk and his team, Igos, who was with us yesterday, he said himself, he said, listen, this is the most dangerous fight for us in this heavyweight division. They truly know that. They'll prepare for that. And Daniel Dubois has a new task on his hands. Can he overcome this formidable champion in Oleksandr Usyk? You know, Usyk's record has been quite phenomenal in recent times.
Unreal.
You look at those like 2 victories over Anthony Joshua, then there goes Daniel Dubois, then the 2 victories over Tyson Fury, and you just look at it and you go, them last 2 fights with Fury were 2 hard 12-rounders. Will that have taken something out of him? It's a great fight. And we get it at Wembley. I mean, what a magical stadium to do it at. It's going to be something special.
Yeah, July 19th is going to be absolutely amazing. Yeah, Usyk on incredible form. Daniel Dubois, I think Spencer's right. Psychologically, he seems so switched on now. He's almost like so mature of the way he's taken care of Baby Miller, of Hrgovic, of Joshua. He believes he's a very different human being to the guy that went over to Poland as a massive underdog. Yes, he'll be an underdog come the summer here, but it's a closer call, and he believes he'll destroy Usyk this time.
See how his mentality's changed as well now with Daniel Dubois and how he believes in himself now. We saw a little bit of that character up there. We love Daniel Dubois, by the way. And they're talking about low blow. Was it a low blow? Was it not? And it was going back and forth. It was becoming quite boring. It was going on a little bit too long. Daniel Dubois himself says, whether it was a low blow or it wasn't a low blow, let's just get on with it.
Do you think it was disrespectful to Usyk,
no,
what they did out there today?
He said, I just want to forget about that. It's done now.
What Don did and what George Fox, do you think it's mind games?
They just listen. They've got their own beliefs, right?
Yes.
They've got their own beliefs, and that's what it is. Of course, it's mind games and all that. But Usyk's too long in the tooth for that, too old in the tooth for that. He's not going to fall for those games. You know, a big part of it was Don Charles' son, George Fox, and George has.
We'll bring George
just
in.
peered
Come
up.
on. George is coming right in the middle of us.
How are
Here he
you,
is.
mate?
Here he is. Now you're stirring the pot, big man. You're stirring the pot.
not.
No, I
They're
love it.
stirring
We
the
love
pot.
it. We love it.
They're
We love
stirring
it.
the pot.
We
I
all
just
love
saw the
a bit.
ingredients.
We all love the controversy. Yes, of course. So low blow, not low blow. You were with him, around him in the studios at talkSPORT yesterday. It got a little heated. Is this just to get into his head, Usyk's?
Look, of course, part of it is, you know, the gamesmanship. 100%. We all know that psychological warfare is a part of the story. But for me, when you actually look at it in the context, I went up to the man, I gave him his respects, congratulated him on his achievements, which I always will. Look what he's done in boxing. I asked the man a question, and for me, I know what happened because he was rattled. Like, you're seeing a man who's always calm, always composed. All the press conferences, whether it's Tyson Fury and all his, histrionics and how he's got the gift of the gab, but he didn't bite. But with me, with 1 minute, he's offering me out for a street fight. So just do the math. Ask yourself why that is. It's because I hit a nerve. Didn't say anything disrespectful until that point, and that was it.
Yeah. Do you know what I just want to say about Daniel Dubois up there? We were talking about this just now, and he was saying, listen, you know, forget that. It's done now. 100%. Just move on. July the 19th, I get a chance to right those wrongs and all that. Don't you think that that's where now the focus should be? Tell us a little bit about Daniel Dubois. You and your father in the gym with him on a daily basis, how he's matured and grown as a fighter in recent times, and how he gets victory over this. Like, how different is he here?
Yeah, listen, massive evolution in him. I think it's important, like you said, to put that to bed. And the question was the question. I think that loss, we're actually so grateful for it because it allowed Daniel to become the man that he is today. That adversity, be it controversial, that adversity, because he did lose a fight after that, fair and square, after that. He's since gone back to the drawing boards. He was only with my dad for about 10 weeks before that fight. That's, as you know, that's nothing, even to understand.
That was actually 3 weeks. I think it's three weeks proper training before the
It'll be
first
nearly 2
fight.
years when it comes to July the 19th. So it's a much better transition. It is the time, isn't it, for Dubois to have this challenge?
100%. He's evolved physically, mentally, spiritually. 3 massive wins under his belt. 2 unbeaten fighters he beat in Jarrell Miller and Filip Hrgovic. Had to go into deep waters against Jarrell Miller, 140-kilo man pushing him the whole way. Hrgovic hit him with about 200 right hands. A no knockout artist, by the way. Took all of them, knocked the guy out. Fought AJ at Wembley. He's
George,
ready.
what does he
He's
do
ready.
different? You know, like,
So,
because there'll be people watching this saying, how can he beat this genius, this master? What does he do different in this fight that he didn't do in the last?
I'm not going to say too much, but Derek Chisora, as we've seen, has probably done the best. And the key with Usyk, he's a ring general, masterful IQ, foot positioning, hand positioning is elite. He forces you to box to a rhythm you're not comfortable with, constantly having to make adjustments, and that's what exhausts you. Everyone's focusing on this jab that stopped him, but the truth is it's exhaustion. It's him fatiguing his opponents. And you have to remember, I've spoke to AJ camp, I've spoke to Tyson, his camp. Don't dance to his tune. Almost don't overthink things and assert your identity. Use your strengths, your physical power, your athleticism, the ferocious punch power that he holds in each hand, and hit whatever you can hit, be it that his shoulder, legally, shoulders, elbows.
I think the key with Oleksandr Usyk is not blowing that gasket. Because I think that Daniel done when that went down. Daniel had a big 8th round. He blew a gasket, and Usyk then turns the screw and picks it up. AJ, who I spoke to AJ about that, and AJ said after he had that big round 9. He said, I come out and I'm feeling tired. And he said, he went up another level. He said, I don't know where he found that energy.
Tony Bellew was doing well until psychologically, he just exhausts you. And I've been in camp with Oleksandr Usyk. And George, I'm telling you, he is unbelievably dedicated, and he's brilliant at what he does. He's a mercurial wizard. He's 23-0. He was an outstanding amateur. So is it a case of you just have to throw everything at him and just try and crush the rhythm and just upset him in any way, shape or form?
100%. I think there's no we're not disillusioned. This guy is an incredible, he'll go down as an all-time great. This guy is, and he's fitter than all these heavyweights. Being a natural cruiserweight, I've seen his training regimes. I know when they reset rounds, if his back touches the ropes. I know the long bike rides he goes on after sparring. I've seen everything. I've heard of everything. So I know exactly what this guy is. He is a monster.
But what I've seen is Daniel in that barn, and I know that he's a monster in his own right.
And guess what else
he's a monster in his own right.
We've seen Beterbiev stop this guy in amateurs with a body shot and hurt him. We've seen Anthony Joshua hit this guy with body shots and him feign that it was low. These are not my opinions, these are facts. Go and watch them. So we're going to soften up that body.
Look, we got the IBF champion against the man who's had all the belts. It's a fantastic fight. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. We know you respect him hugely, and we know your dad does as well. A lot of mind games flying around, and that's what we absolutely love. Let's talk about the venue, okay? Because this place is going to be jumping come July the 19th. We've had huge fights in the past here. I said the new Wembley really kicked off in boxing with Carl Froch and George Groves and their rematch. I don't think we've ever had a night quite like AJ and Klitschko. We've had just beautiful, wonderful nights here at Wembley Stadium. There is something about the National Stadium that brings it out. And AJ, of course, a hot favourite last time, and he got turned over by Dubois in that big shot. But that was phenomenal too.
Listen, we get a chance now, first time ever, to witness this four-belt era of undisputed champion happening here in England, which is a magical moment for any sort of boxing fan. And we got a great fight there, and I'm sure they're going to have a fantastic undercard, which they haven't announced yet. But look, it's going to be magical. Any boxing match that happens at Wembley Stadium is magical.
They haven't got the AJ name. Tyson Fury, we know, is back in training with Sugar Hill. This sport's wonderful, isn't it? Maybe Fury Joshua at some point. I don't think it'll be on this bill. However, They do have Usyk, who is very popular now in Britain. He's fought a lot here. Daniel Dubois, the young lion at 27. Do they fill it, or do they need a big card, or do they need you pushing it massively over the next 3 months?
Listen, well, I will be pushing it massively only on talkSPORT.
Does it sell out?
Of course
totally?
It will. Yeah, it will sell out because Frank will put on a great undercard as well. But can we just rewind just a little bit, because you touched on something there, AJ Fury. Right now, we see Tyson Fury coming out with Sugar Hill. I don't know if you guys have seen it on
loves
Instagram.
It, doesn't he? There's a big fight announced, and suddenly Tyson pops up.
Yep, and he says, "Look, we're back in training."
Of course. I mean,
surely the next
surely?
fight for Tyson Fury. No,
Yes.
we know he's going to box again.
We know he's going to box. Joshua.
Listen, Tyson Fury without boxing struggles, and I think that, there's still more fight left in him. And boxing Mrs. Fury, by the way, as well, massively.
Spencer, when we see it, we saw him at ringside the night that Derek fought Otto Valley, and he looks in fantastic shape. We see him with Sugar Hill, he looks in great shape. He's coming back, and I think he's going to fight AJ.
Right, so, will it happen this year?
I hope so. I can't see why not. I can't see why not. July 19th here. The question is, do they do it maybe in September? Is it a fight of maybe a two thing, one in Saudi, one here?
I'm going. This is where I'm hedging my bets. I think that Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua happens, and I think it happens here.
September?
Late September.
Late September here. Wow. Well, July 19th we've got to get through. That's at Wembley, and we had an incredible stadium show as well on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I think before we do that, we talk about, it's all happening today. We're going to get the big man in right in the middle of us. Our friend, Don. Now I'm going to ask him a hard question straight away. Right, that up there, mind games, psychological. Was it fair on Usyk?
Most definitely. Listen, this is a fight. The minute the fight signed, that press conference is as part of the fight. All the psychological mind game. He's a maverick. He tries to play games. He's the Pied Piper. He tries to soften you, relax you. All that sign this picture. That's all controlling.
So you're in with a liar, a cheat, all that.
Come on, man. This is not a game. It's a fight.
Listen, what you got to understand about Don Charles, who I go back a long, long, long way with, Don Charles is a student of the game, and he does recognise, and I always harp on about this whole psychological mind game thing, because when you get to this level, this is where it started today.
The fight has
The
already
has
started.
Yesterday in talkSPORT
Absolutely.
Studios.
The minute the fight is signed, the fight is on.
People think the fight starts on that first bell, but it's
No,
what goes
no,
on here
no.
in the first. And
What about
Oleksandr
yesterday with
Alexander's
George?
a
What about
master at
that,
it, but
Don, as well. Let's talk yesterday first with your son. Did that rattle Usyk? And then today he walked out of the press conference. He looked frustrated.
Well, I would say so, because, it's about energy. He doesn't like the energy he picks up from me, the Daniel, and obviously he didn't even know yesterday that was my son. It was a random person who asked him a random question, and it then started, uncharacteristically, it took it like, let's go to the street. What's all that about? Suddenly, this majestic boxer wanted to turn into 4v4, he said. What's that got to do with it? So I believe we it's not just about rattling him. I really, truly believe, with all my experiences over the years, I've seen enough to know that Daniel Dubois has got that fighter's numbers. He knows it.
Don, Daniel Dubois is a different kid these days, different character. I love the way that he was even up there. Like, forget all that. Forget all that what happened last time, blow and all that.
I love it. He wants to get on with it.
Let's get on with it now. July the 19th. Don, talk to us about that. He's come out of himself a lot, hasn't he? And I know that you're very instrumental in bringing a lot of that out in him. That's developed him not just as a person, but as a fighter as well.
You are the company. I keep repeating it. You are the company you keep, right? You become a part of the environment you find yourself in. So in the last 24 months, remember when Daniel fought Usyk in Poland, that was a 14-week camp, first training camp I've ever done with him. He was able to produce what he produced. We were denied that night, but this is 20. By the time this fight comes around in July, it would have been 24 months of working with myself and the team. So we've grown together now.
Miller, Hrgovic, Joshua, all by knockout.
Yeah.
And is it Usyk by knockout as well? Daniel Dubois becomes undisputed on the 19th, inside the distance?
Categorically, capital Y, capital E, capital S.
No doubts.
Categorically, capital Y, capital E, capital S. Exclamation mark.
Nice.
We love
Nice,
it, Don. We
brilliant.
absolutely love it. Thank you
Don.
so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. It really is. Adam, love as always.
Great to see you, Don. Thank you
Yeah,
so
wicked,
much.
bro.
Thank you.
Wicked,
and go
wicked.
well in training.
Yeah.
Wow, it's just all happening, isn't it? I wanted just to quickly get back to Saturday night, because, of course, Wembley Stadium here, we had Tottenham Hotspur absolutely rocking and rolling. Lots of talking points to come out of that. The best thing, I think, is both fighters are fine. They've got out of hospital. They're in good nick. They're okay. What a scrap, and what a moment when Senior turned up. It was theatre on the biggest scale.
And listen, we truly didn't believe that was not premeditated, by the way. That was something that would happen very lastminute.com. We didn't expect Senior to be there, and that magical moment when he got out of the car with Chris Eubank Jr. was insane. The stadium erupted, but let's talk about the fighters. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, we're going, right, the controversies that surrounded it for 2.5 years, then finally getting in the ring, made it an even bigger fight than it was the first time around, I think. He got in there and you think, it's never going to be like their fathers were in 1990 and then in 1993 in the return. But the first one, never be like. It was brutal in so many ways. Both guys showed so much character, and I just think that they both come out winners, really, when you look at that, because their stock rose, both of them. There was boos for Conor going in and he got cheered going out. And for Chris Eubank Jr., that showed the heart and soul of a lion in there. That was insane, man. That 12th round was one of the best rounds I've seen in British boxing history.
Spencer, now the big question, and it was something that I wanted on the night. I wanted to see the two of them go again in a rematch. A lot of people saying no, the weight. Does Conor come back down? Does Chris need it again? I personally think the weights you could look at again. Should it be at 162, 163 this time? I don't know, 6 months on. Turkey wants it in September. Should it happen?
should it happen, look, from a selfish point of view, of course I'd love to see that again because I'm a boxing fan, and what I witnessed there was something insane. Sitting there commentating on it, I was so engrossed in it, I actually forgot I was commentating at
Didn't
the
want
time.
it to stop.
I was like that. There was like, Spence, you're here, mate. You're talking. Like, I couldn't. It was one of those fights that you were just drawn to. So of course I would love to see that again. It worries me at 160 because Eubank can clearly not make that weight anymore. He looked terrible on the scales. He looked awful. I was actually concerned for him. I was worried for his welfare. You know, after I saw him there, but he rehydrated. He got himself through it. Clearly see that the punch resistance had gone through dehydration from making the weight. That's what happens. And in them early stages, it looked like he was going.
Third round, his legs.
Oh, he totally gone.
He dug deep, Chris.
But I don't like playing with fire, and him making that weight, I think, is a dangerous thing to do. I think, look, he's got away with it this time, but I don't think he can make 160 anymore. He's 35 years of age. Them days now are sort of clearly well and truly behind him. You think like back in 2019, Adam, he was fighting at 168 against, like, you know, you're looking at James DeGale and all that.
Yeah.
So I think his days at 160 are gone. Conor Benn's days, his future is down at 147. Marius Barrios, WBC title, he can win that.
Okay, Spencer, it's been a pleasure. A pleasure. What did Don say?
No, pleasure.
A pleasure.
No, pleasure.
A pleasure.
And it's been a pleasure to you.
Categorically with a
There
C,
you
a
go.
Y and an
There
S.
you go.
Daniel Dubois by knockout. Well, I don't know about that. Oleksandr Usyk, undefeated his whole professional life and the pound-for-pound king. You're going to see it all here. Wembley Stadium, July the 19th. Boxing is on fire.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.